Hi, I'm going to review the Daily Show that Jon Stewart hosted on March 11th. So let's get going.
He had the unenviable task of having to lay out his vision for the nation whilst also demonstrating that he is not too old, not too tired to be the President of the United States, and that he wouldn't rather just tie thousands of balloons to the White House and head to Paradise Falls.
I didn't get this joke. Isn't it a better joke for Stewart to say, I only wish he'd tie a balloon to the White House? I mean, to tie back to his saying that he's too old. And by the way, the State of the Union didn't change my mind that Biden is way too old. When he's reading from the teleprompter, he's fine, but if he just lost his way a little bit, you could see he just could not get back on track. Anyway, what I'm trying to point out is the Daily Show is afraid to say a bad word about Biden, so they take the simplest joke directed at him and make it a non-joke. I mean, it's a joke. I don't know why the audience is laughing. I just don't get it. What's funny? I mean, he didn't look like he wanted to retire or he wanted to tie balloons on the wall. I mean, a lot of people have been asking for him. Well, I've been asking for years since he won to basically groom somebody younger to run for president this year, and he didn't do that. He's basically kept Kamala Harris totally sidelined. So yeah, I mean, I don't get the joke. He hasn't acted like that at all. I mean, it would only be a joke if you said maybe, yeah, again, hey, Republicans wish he would tie a balloon on his thing and float away. But not even that. The simplest joke. As I said in the other video, the State of the Union is not a place to put up your dukes and fight. It is not a place for the Democrats to give their message. But, again, Daily Show ignored all this. Then Jon Stewart does a joke about haters, and then he does a joke like he was a hater. And he completely dismisses it. I mean, he totally makes fun of himself like he couldn't care less. I mean, just keep moving on.
Which one of you pricks wants to fight? Put up your nukes. Biden's back, baby. I know that all the haters have been out there talking their shit. He's too old. He's too weak. He can't make it. He won't be able to stand. Oh, I see you haters. I know who you are. Really? We said in rehearsal, can you get me a prettier mirror? And boy, did they deliver. That is... Of course, by the way, the State of the Union was just the Democratic message. Would that message survive a concise and intelligent rebuttal?
So don't you find it interesting that he talks about the State of the Union being a place for Democrats? He doesn't actually mention anything since the beginning about how Biden is so attacking the Republicans for the Democrats, but now he's going to use it to make a joke about a Republican. So he's saying, the Democrats gave their message, again, which they shouldn't have, but now the Republicans are going to answer, and let's go have some fun making fun of her. Now, I didn't watch her whole rebuttal, whatever it is, but let me tell you something. She seemed like a nice person, okay? She seemed like a good mother, whatever. And I think that many people identify with her, and that's why she got elected, because a lot of people in Alabama identified with her, liked her, and voted for her. So when you're criticizing her, should you really criticize somebody that is in a state that you need their help? And this has been the Daily Show thing for a long time, and why I even started doing these videos again is that one of the reasons I believe we have such a divisive country, one of the reasons we got a Trump, is because of people like Jon Stewart. People that just attacked Florida, Alabama, Arkansas, every night, the Colbert Show, all these shows, all these media companies constantly attacking the South. And so this woman, it's a nice woman, and he's not going there to make fun of her in a nice way. He's just going there, again, to make the country more divisive. He thinks he's saving it from fake patriots. But no, he's just going there to insult them, to say he had nothing nice to say about them, not nice jokes. He doesn't joke about the Democrats. Anyway, I don't want to get into a mini rant here. So let's just go to part of the next clip.
Families are hurting. Our country can do better. President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. Mr. President, enough is enough. End this crisis and stop the suffering. We see you. We hear you. And we stand with you.
If you're going to stand with me, could you stand a little bit further away? I imagine one of her kids just came downstairs and was like, "I'm sorry, Mom, I just came down to get a bowl of cereal. I didn't realize you were losing your f***ing mind. I'll come back when the Xannies kick in."
Jon Stewart has kids. I have kids. She has kids. It just blows my mind that Jon Stewart would read that script and leave that joke in there. I mean, there are many ways you can make fun of her. You know, a friend could knock on the door, her husband could come down, but her kids are going to come down and basically, you know, say that, you know, that she lost her mind and she needs to go on drugs. It's sick. Sick. This is seriously sick humor. I'm sorry. If there's like a point to it that's somehow going to save lives, or if abortion or pro-choice is your thing, if there's some issue that you're going to do this joke because you really want to get this issue, that's fine. But that joke is so gratuitous. She's not a mean person. You know, her video is very genuine. Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff she said was, you know, intellectually stupid. But she truly meant that she wanted to relate to people who were suffering. That really came across in the video. And what's his joke? For what purpose was that joke? Gratuitous, disgusting. And I say this as a father to you, Jon Stewart, as a father.
Well, look, everybody's had a bit of a go at Senator Brit because her rebuttal was objectively terrible. But there was one moment in her rebuttal that didn't get as much attention that I thought was quite interesting.
We are the party of hard-working parents and families. So I am asking you, for the sake of your kids and your grandkids, get into the arena. Never forget, we are steeped in the blood of patriots who overthrew the most powerful empire in the world.
Two things. One, who smiles when they say the line, "steeped in the blood of patriots"? And number two, this is just one more entry in the Republican mythology that they are the inheritors of the American revolutionary tradition, that they somehow are more American-y than non-Republican Americans.
We are the party of the real American people.
Real America, where people work hard.
First of all, patriotism is not something you can prove or disprove. Historically, patriotism has always been a more Republican form of identity. No one has ever agreed on what makes one more of a patriot than another, even though it's fundamental to one's philosophy of citizenship. Take me. I do not look at myself as a patriot in the Republican sense. I don't relate to Brit Speech. I don't put out a flag. I don't want to join the military or for my kids to sign up. I'm patriotic only in the sense that I want the liberal democratic ideals of our nation to succeed. And that means I need to respect Republicans, like Brit, who feel patriotic in the blood-soaked sense. I feel I must respect their feelings. That's part of being a democracy. Why is Stewart questioning it? I understand he's not questioning her patriotism, but her arguments that she's more patriotic than Democrats. The problem is he doesn't actually prove he's as patriotic in the sense she means it. What he tries to prove is that her patriotism is wrong and his, the Democrats, are right. No. Again, there's no right and wrong or wrong. There are just differences. Does he wear an American flag pin on his coat? Does he recognize that the right to bear arms has legitimate patriotic reasons? Sure, he's very patriotic in his support of first responders to 9/11 and military people who have suffered from burn pits. In that sense, he is way more patriotic than I am, and I applaud him. Yet why does he do those noble things and then go on the air and ridicule people for their patriotic beliefs? What good does it do? The only benefit I see is to his ego and bank account. Surely you can do comedy in some other way where we can all laugh about this.
Just out of curiosity, what is it about the Republican Party that makes it Americanier than the rest of us?
Are they saying they're Americanier than the rest of us? I don't see it. I see that they're trying to reach out to people that think like they do and say, come here and be part of us, and we're going to get together and do the things that we believe in. That's what they're saying. So I don't know why he has to make it his business to stop them from trying to reach the people that they want to relate to. If you have a different idea of patriotism, talk about your own patriotism, how you're a patriot. But do you notice that Democrats don't do that? They don't get up and say, oh, we're patriotic in this way, we're patriotic. No, they only talk about patriotism when it's in, when they're comparing themselves to the Republicans. But think about that. If patriotism is really important to you, you don't argue about what it isn't. You argue about what it is.
We're the party and ideology of the Constitution.
Every decision that I make starts with asking the questions, is this constitutional?
I believe in this document. I carry it with me next to my heart because I refer to it daily.
As we all know, the Constitution starts with the three most important words outside the Bible: we the people.
The power of we the people.
We the people.
The Constitution. We believe in it. They do not.
Why'd you rip it up? That was your copy. You said that that's what they do, but you did it. You ripped it up. Like Sinead O'Connor's like, I believe in the Pope. What?
First, when they say we the people, I relate to that. And Republicans I have known, when they talk about that stuff, this is common ground for me. We the people. That's, what Jon Stewart is saying. Does he not agree with that about we the people? Like everybody, whatever your beliefs? Because that's what they mean. They don't mean like we the people, like only us patriots, or they'd say that. They would say we the people. Anyway. So one of the guys ripped the Constitution for effect. I mean, so what? I mean, everybody does this. Jon Stewart does it all the time. Now, somehow it's ridiculous that when he does it, but it's not ridiculous when Jon Stewart takes out a mirror or he takes out a bunch of like handbooks that he's about to do. And I don't get the Sinead O'Connor joke. What would she be ripping up? I'm trying to think. Put in the comments if you know what she would be ripping up that would be hypocritical. Did she ever rip up, say, the Bible? No. So I don't get why you're bringing in Sinead O'Connor. I understand why he's working so hard to say these people are hypocrites, where I just don't see it. What did they do that was hypocritical? They said we the people is important. They said the Constitution is important. They said, yeah, you shouldn't rip up the Constitution if you believe in it. That's all he's saying. It's a lame joke. It's a stupid joke. It's only a joke that people would find funny if they want to feel better than that other person.
They feel that as a president you have to have immunity. Very simple.
Yes, it is the bedrock American constitutional principle. The president must be above the law, out of reach of the law. Look, forget the Constitution. Accountability to the law of the land is basic Magna Carta shit.
This is a complicated one. The issue of presidential immunity is part of the question about immunity to begin with. So in olden times, if you had a king, and the law was you don't kill people, and one day the king kills the queen or anybody, the gardener, because he doesn't like him, he kills him. The next day passes a law saying the king can kill the gardener, and that's okay. And it passes because everybody really cares about the gardeners. Well, then is the king above the law? No, because in a sense the king makes the laws. And so what societies have determined is if we basically say to the king, okay, we're going to put you in jail or we're going to kill you for killing the gardener, right? Then every time there's a king and he does something that people don't like, they're going to go after him. And this is especially true in political attacks. So Trump's position has always been, or any leaders, like, you asked me to lead and now you're politically attacking me. I should have immunity from that. In his mind, it's a political attack. Now, again, the question isn't whether that's true or not. I mean, I don't believe that the attacks against Trump are political, but I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to argue that they aren't. I don't know, right? And I understand his position. And the problem is that the Democrats and Jon Stewart keep talking about like he's above the law or not. No, and they're not recognizing the fundamentals of immunity. All social systems need some immunity. So, for instance, Saudi Arabia, when MBS from Khashoggi died, right? Is he culpable, right? Should the United States not deal with Saudi Arabia because the head guy killed an American journalist, right? Well, we ultimately decide, no, we're going to give him immunity. So, Biden fist pumps, and the United States relationship with Saudi Arabia continues. Why? Because the relationship between the United States and Saudi Arabia is more important than what the king did. If the king killed the journalist, the king killed the journalist, it's bad. Everybody recognizes it's bad, but we just have to really put things on balance, and it's more important that we just basically keep a stable government in Saudi Arabia and deal with him. And this isn't my choice. This is our government's choice. So before you can basically call, Trump like above the law or a jerk or whatever you want to do, that, he's breaking the law and he shouldn't get away with it, recognize, go protest about that. Go protest about Saudi Arabia killing Khashoggi or any of these governments or Bush's war crimes. There's tons of this stuff. Immunity is a natural part. And I just don't get all this. And I want to point out here, now, Stewart isn't really making many jokes in his 10 or 12 minutes here. He's making arguments. I'm making arguments here, so I don't want to hear in the comments like, oh, well, it's just comedy, Mac. No, there's hardly any jokes here. This is all just making fun of people and making these arguments to make feel better. That's what Jon Stewart is doing here. So when he's talking about making some joke about the Magna Carta and immunity, there's nothing, I don't get what's funny here. Because immunity has nothing to do, not nothing to do, but very little to do with either above the law or below the law. Immunity has to do with how much protection do we need to give the whims of our leaders to keep our society functioning in a stable fashion.
Now, we've had our fun dancing around the former president's rather eccentric interpretations of our country's founding document. May I offer you something more explicit?
I only want to be a dictator for one day.
Just so you know, that is how it starts. I'm not saying anybody has to do the arms salute. Let's just start with a few people doing the arms salute, and we'll see if the arms salute catches on. Ignoring the Bill of Rights, tearing up the Constitution, pining for a brief stint as a dictator, well, that settles it. When the good, patriotic, Constitution-loving, real Americans hear Trump's disrespect and disdain for our sacred constitutional principles, they will be outraged.
I'd rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years. Absolutely. This country needs a dictator. I hate to say that, but it's the truth.
He could stand on the front steps of the White House and commit murder, and I'm with it. If he says it, then I'll go with it, and if he wants to be a dictator, then so be it.
This is it. The Thomas Nast cartoon. Patriots festooned in American flags, co-signing dictatorship. Remember We the People? There's more words after that, right? Smaller font, still binding. Look, If you want to love Trump, love him. Go to the rallies, buy the sneakers. You want to give him absolute power? You want him to be the leader uber alles? You want him to have the right of kings? You do you. But stop framing it as patriotism. Because the one thing you cannot say is that Donald Trump is following the tradition of the founders. He is advocating for complete and total presidential immunity. His words, not mine. That is monarchy shit. And it's your right to support it. But just do me a favor for historical accuracy. Next time you want to dress up at the rallies, wear the right colored coats. Because that's what you are. And I just want to tell you this. And I want you to know we see you. We hear you. Enough. When we come back.
Again, that wasn't humor, and there's so many cheap shots, and I almost just wanted to stop it, but I was like, I'm gonna have to stop it like every few seconds. But I completely disagree with his characterization of the Republicans. Now, when Trump said he wanted to be dictator for a day, he only said what anybody would say, right? Everybody would say in private. One of the great lines in a movie, in Mel Brooks movies, when he goes, "Oh, it's good to be king," right? I mean, everybody can relate. And when Trump is saying that, I hate Trump, by the way. I can't stand him. I don't want him president. But I understand what he's saying. He's just saying, "Yeah, I want to be just dictator for one day," like. Because he's recognizing, all these rules, all these people, all this whatever. I like to be dictator for one day and really get it back at some of my enemies. I mean, that's always been the way he is. And he's honest about that. And this is what people like about him. They like him because he's honest about what he wants. And on the presidential immunity thing, it's a real issue. And he should get immunity. Now, the question is how much? Yes. But to fault him, to say that he's trying to start a dictatorship, that he's going to start doing the Heil salute, Heil Hitler, Heil Trump salutes because he wants to be dictator for a day, and because he wants immunity, which is reasonable, I don't get it. I don't see it. It's just all. I just don't see any evidence that he's trying to start a dictatorship. And then you're taking his, people that like him. And they're like, yeah, we could use a dictator. That's their opinion. I mean, I don't understand why they can't like somebody. Why can't people in the country like Trump? And the more that Jon Stewart makes jokes at them, tries to humiliate them, where does that get us? Where does that get them? Because in their eyes, they don't see that they're trying to, change democracy, or they're trying to, make us into a dictatorship. I just don't see it. I don't see it in any of them. I'm sorry, I don't. And so that 2.5-minute clip of him is just Jon Stewart basically saying, listen, you're not real Democrats. If you're real Democrats, you wouldn't rip up the Constitution. Where he says that, the guy ripped up the Constitution for effect. He wasn't literally ripping it up. So that's just the way, like Jon Stewart, that's how a lot of this humor works. They take things and they distort them and they turn the joke back on the person. You're too busy watching, you're not really thinking about it, because that's how humor works. But then if you start thinking about it, you realize how manipulated you were. It's propaganda. This is propaganda here. What you just watched was propaganda. It's very cleverly done propaganda for people who want to feel superior about themselves. The Trump supporters, they don't feel superior about themselves. You don't hear them saying, oh, I went to Harvard and Yale and this and that stuff. They find this guy, they like him, they put on the things, they say these things or whatever. They enjoy watching, they relate to him. Okay, let them relate. Let them like him. Jon Stewart has no specific evidence that Trump is going to start a dictatorship, let alone Nazi Germany type stuff. I don't see it. And as I said in the other video, what's really happening is all this stuff is making the country divided, so the rich can get richer and the poor can get poorer, which all the Trump people say, but at least Trump admits to it, and the Democrats don't admit to it. They don't admit that because they're not being friendly to the Republicans that the Ukrainians are all going to die. They don't admit to like, oh, we're dropping all these bombs on the Palestinians and killing them. We killed them with our bombs. Does Jon Stewart say anything about that? Jon Stewart cannot even hold his ground on the fact that Biden is too old to be president. On that one little thing, he can't even hold his ground. He's nothing but a shill for the Democrats here. Rant over. Until next time.